Hi everyone, it's Marianne. Welcome to my Wasteless Life. So for this video, I'm just going to keep it a little bit more casual and answer some of your frequently asked questions when it comes to fertilizing our houseplants. But if you're new to my channel and you want more basic and general knowledge when it comes to fertilizers and understanding them for our houseplants, I made quite a few of those videos. I would link them down in the description. Those videos that's part of my Houseplants Back to Basics series are the different types of fertilizers for our houseplants. So I'm not going to go over those again in this video, but I'll be sharing with you my review of the Perky Plants Organic Fertilizer. So the company sent me 3 of their fertilizers. This one is the fertilizer for succulents. This one is for houseplants. And this is their all-purpose fertilizer. So I've been using these fertilizers for about 2 weeks now. So I'll be sharing with you my review of them later on in this video. This video is not sponsored, but I do have an affiliate link with Perky Plants. So if you're interested in purchasing this organic fertilizer, I would have my affiliate link down in the description. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the number one question that I get when it comes to fertilizing our houseplants is, my plant looks sick. Should I fertilize it in order for it to get better and perk right back up? My answer to that is no. In my experience, plants that are experiencing issues, the reason behind them is rarely nutrient deficiency. Nutrient deficiency in plants manifests itself very slowly and it doesn't happen overnight. So for example, if you have a plant that usually grows very fast or produce very large foliage during the growing season, but now it's not growing as fast or not at all, or if it does produce new leaves, it's producing very small leaves. So to me, that's a plant that's likely experiencing nutrient deficiency, and that's assuming that you're watering your plants correctly, it's getting enough light, it's in a favorable environment with right humidity levels, and it's not experiencing any pests or viral issues. So that could be a plant that's experiencing nutrient deficiency, and giving it fertilizer might help. But more often than not, that's not the case. And sometimes an immediate boost in nutrients can help a plant. For example, a plant that I just transplanted or repotted could probably use a boost of nutrients. But even in that situation, I turn more to my plant vitamins like Super Thrive instead of fertilizers. So to me, if you're troubleshooting a houseplant that's experiencing issues, fertilizing wouldn't be my solution to it, or it wouldn't be my first resort in trying to solve the issue of my houseplant. So to me, fertilizing houseplants that's experiencing issues should be a last resort in my opinion. There might be situations that yes, fertilizing your plants right away is what would save them, but honestly, I can't think of one right now. If you do, let me know down in the comments. So second question, do I need to water my plants before fertilizing them? And to be honest, this is one of my pressing questions when I was a plant beginner, and I never really got a straight answer to this one. And so my answer to this question is yes, but also no. Yes, I do recommend it, but no, it's not mandatory, or it's not something that you have to do before you fertilize your houseplants. I think for most of us in the houseplant community, we like using liquid fertilizers or water-soluble fertilizers that we add to the water we use to water our plants. So yes, definitely you could water and fertilize your houseplants at the same time. There's no harm in doing that, but there are reasons why I recommend watering your plants first before fertilizing them. First reason would be to remove the mineral and fertilizer salt buildup in the soil before you fertilize them again. Especially if you like to fertilize your plants frequently, then the buildup will also happen very quickly. And even if you don't, that buildup will still happen over time. And once there's too much buildup in the soil of your houseplants, no matter how much you fertilize or how much fertilizer you give your houseplants, they're not going to be able to properly absorb those nutrients from their soil. So for me, I normally bottom water my plants, but on fertilizing day, I top water my plants so that I would be able to drain out those minerals and fertilizer salt with the water that drains out of the pot as well. So that way I'm giving the plants a mini flush, and I do recommend doing a proper flushing of your plants at least once or twice a year. I have a whole video on that as well. It's linked down in the description if you want to check that out. And the second reason in related to what I just said is to avoid over fertilization, because over fertilizing your plant can also be a bad thing, which we're going to talk about later on in another question. And my third reason would be to save on fertilizers. So most of us in the houseplant community, as mentioned, we like to use liquid fertilizers and water-soluble fertilizers. So if you are fertilizing and watering your plants at the same time, then you end up using a lot more water because you have to make sure that the soil is completely soaked through. And especially if you're top watering, which I do on my fertilizing day, you end up using or wasting a lot more water than you do bottom watering. And especially if you're using synthetic fertilizers, there's nothing wrong with using that on your plants per se, but the water runoff that contains those synthetic fertilizers into our drainways is very bad for our environment. So if you water your plants first and then fertilize, you end up using less fertilizer. It's more economical and more environmentally friendly. So next question is, how much fertilizer should we be giving our houseplants? And that really depends on the type of fertilizer you're using and how frequently you fertilize your houseplants. So the easiest way to figure that out is to go check the NPK ratio or NPK content of your fertilizer and read the instructions that come with your fertilizer on how to apply it for your houseplants. But for me, and this applies to any fertilizer that I use, no matter the brand, no matter the type, I take those instructions as a general guide and not as a Bible, because not all houseplants are the same and we know our houseplants better. So for example, the Perky Plant organic fertilizer, it comes in 3 formulations, so it makes it a lot easier for you to figure it out. And like I said, one is for houseplants, one is all-purpose, and one is for succulents. And when it comes to organic fertilizers, it's usually difficult to over fertilize with them, at least immediately, because organic fertilizers tend to have a lower NPK ratio compared to synthetic fertilizers. So like this Perky Plant fertilizer for succulents, this has an NPK ratio of 0.4, 0.1, and 0.4, which is great because succulents are low feeder houseplants. So for this one, you could actually use it not just for your succulents, but also for your plants that are low feeders. And for me, that would include my string of hearts, my snake plants, my ZZ plants, and to be honest, even some of my pothos plants that are in smaller pots. The organic fertilizer for houseplants has an NPK ratio of 4:1:2. For houseplants, the NPK ratio that you want to stay is within 3:1:2. The nitrogen here is a little bit higher, which is great. It's still within the range of 3:1:2, and you would want a higher nitrogen content for your houseplants because that's what they need to grow their foliage. The Perky Plants fertilizer also contain other nutrients and biostimulants like calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and mycorrhizal. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it contains that, which helps your plant to grow tall and vibrant. So this one is great for your houseplants. And their third organic fertilizer, the all-purpose one, has the highest NPK ratio with 8, 2, and 4. And the instructions that comes with your fertilizer, and this is true for all 3 of them, is to shake well and sprinkle a generous amount of Perky Plant at the base of your plant, or mix 1 tablespoon of Perky Plant to half a gallon of water and pour around your plant. Use Perky Plant at least once a month or with each watering to make your plant as happy as possible. So like I said, when it comes to organic fertilizers, it's very hard to over fertilize with them compared to synthetic fertilizers. So if you follow the instructions that is written on the bottles of the Perky Plants, your house plants are going to be fine. But for me personally, I do think the 1 tablespoon to half a gallon of water is a little bit too much or too concentrated for my houseplants. So for me, instead of half a gallon of water, I do a tablespoon to a gallon of water. And sometimes I even do less of a tablespoon to a gallon of water. Just really depends on which houseplant I'm watering that day. And the second way to use this is to just sprinkle it on your houseplants, which you only have to do once a month if you're doing the sprinkle method. And I actually like that method better because, I don't know, I enjoy the novelty of like sprinkling your houseplants like you're seasoning them, because this looks like a Trader Joe's spice, doesn't it? So don't put it in your spice cabinet if you're buying this one so that it doesn't get mixed up with your actual spices. So the all-purpose one, since this one has the highest NPK ratio, I did use this for my floor plants and I sprinkled it all around, and I had so much fun doing that I actually almost used up the entire bottle. But considering I have around 20 plus floor plants and I still have some left, it's actually amazing for a bottle that's only 3 ounces. And by sprinkling it around the plant once a month, it will act as a slow release fertilizer and it will go down the soil every time I water them. And for the rest of my houseplants, I used the second method. I mixed it with water, but as mentioned, I don't follow the instructions on that to the T. Depending on which plant I am fertilizing, I either dilute with more water or use a lot less than a tablespoon of the Perky Plant fertilizer to fertilize my houseplants. I fertilize my plants every 2 weeks. I don't do the weekly fertilizing or fertilizing my houseplants every time I water them because I do think that's a bit too much for the houseplants that I have. but that is what works best for me and for my houseplants. You might have different needs than I do. So whatever fertilizer you use, do adjust accordingly to the needs of your houseplants. But if you're still trying to figure all of that out, there's no harm in following the instructions that come with your fertilizers, because they're not wrong. It's just that they can't possibly equally apply to a small pothos plant and also to a very large ficus plant. So next, when or how often should I be fertilizing my houseplants? So I kind of answered this question already, and again, it depends on how much and what type of fertilizer you are using. So if you're using a synthetic fertilizer that has a higher NPK ratio, so you might want to use that a lot less than you would an organic fertilizer. But in general, I only recommend fertilizing your houseplants during the growing season, which is around late spring to early fall, but really depends on where you live and when is your first and last frost date. Others like to fertilize their houseplant year-round, which makes sense for them because, plants are indoor plants. They're not subjected to any external factors from being outside. But for me, I don't fertilize my houseplants during winter time because they are receiving a lot less light, and I do notice that they do grow slower or don't grow at all. And if I fertilize them, it would lead to over-fertilization, which is not good, especially for plants that are in dormancy. Last question, what are the signs of over-fertilization? So over-fertilization in houseplants can actually lead to stunted growth, because when the soil has too much buildup, as mentioned earlier, or contains too much nutrients, it actually affects the growth of the plant and its ability to absorb nutrients from the soil. It can sometimes manifest itself in browning leaves, especially around the tip and margins, and also even in yellowing leaves. And you could also see it visibly on the pots. If you have terracotta pots, it would be like the white stuff on the side of the pot, or sometimes even on top of the soil. So if you suspect that your houseplants is getting over-fertilized, then adjust your fertilizing accordingly. But first, do properly flush your houseplants. That will help clear out the soil of any excess nutrients, which will help facilitate proper nutrient absorption next time you fertilize. And if you're looking for a fertilizer for your houseplants, I suggest trying out the Perky Plant Organic Fertilizer. What I love it is organic, it's nicely formulated for your houseplants. Not only it has the right NPK ratio for our houseplants, it also contains other nutrients and biostimulants that will help our plants grow even better. I also do like the novelty of it being in a spice bottle. It makes sprinkling it on your houseplants fun. And as mentioned, it is organic, so it's very hard to over-fertilize, and it's also very environmentally friendly. And what I also love about Perky Plants as a company is they help raise mental health awareness through our love for our houseplants. A couple things that I didn't like about the Perky Plant Organic Fertilizer is it does come in a small bottle. It contains about 3 ounces of product, and if you have a lot of houseplants like me, you'll go through them pretty quickly. Like with this Perky Plant All-Purpose Fertilizer, I'm pretty much done with it because I use it on my floor plants. But I do have about 20 floor plants, and it's actually amazing that I still have some left after all the sprinkling that I did on my floor plants, because I did go a little bit crazy on it. And when you sprinkle it, it can get a little bit dusty, so watch out for that. And also don't get carried away like I do when it comes to sprinkling the plants. Don't be too hard on it, but it was so much fun though doing that. So I understand if you also do the same, but wear a mask so you're not inhaling all of that dust when you use the Perky Plant Organic Fertilizer on your houseplants. Additionally, Perky Plant is giving away one of their fertilizers to one of my subscribers. The winner will receive one Perky Plant fertilizer of their choice. So if you're the winner, you can choose from the succulent, the houseplant, or the all-purpose organic fertilizer. And there's really no wrong choice. They're all great. It's just a matter of your preference. This giveaway is open to my US subscribers. And to enter, like this video, be subscribed to my channel. Also follow me and Perky Plants on Instagram. I'll have our Instagram handles down in the description. And lastly, comment down below #BePerky and let me know what is your Instagram handle as well. So it's very easy to enter this giveaway, and it ends on August 20th. All the details of the giveaway will also be down in the description, so go ahead and check that out. But thanks again for watching this video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, I hope you subscribe. I come up with houseplants and sustainable lifestyle videos every week. And if you haven't yet, check out these videos up here. Until my next one. But until then, I see you, I appreciate you, take care of yourself and each other, and have a plentiful day. Bye!